Keep Right with Ralph K. Ginorio. No to the UNO. Recent polling data, to the limited extent that such numerological witch-doctory can be trusted, seems to indicate that nearly 50% of adult Americans under 40 would prefer an American government subject to the rule of the United Nations Organization, the UNO. From environmental to nuclear policy, these products of a devolved U.S. educational system seem to fundamentally mistrust an independent United States. Taken at face value, it is astonishing that any measurable proportion of the American people would prefer servitude to an unelected government of any kind. Such polling data is a sign that for generations our schools have failed in their primary mission. Instead of acculturating functional citizens capable of understanding constitutional liberty sufficiently to perpetuate our free republic into the future, a critical mass of pedagogues, administrators, teachers, and school board members have gone disastrously off mission. Mass public education was established in the United States during the late 1800s in order to transform the children of legal immigrants from all around the world into Americans recognizable as such in thought, word, and deed. Our schools were the real fire that blended cultures in our traditional melting pot. Today, few professional educators have even been taught this primary mission. Instead of passing on the body of understanding which makes Western civilization unique and which makes American liberty possible, educational leaders have for 3 generations at least led most schools and their students astray. Their Marxian navel-gazing damns us for not living up to their utopian ideals of perfected paragons of communitarian virtue, living in a state of egalitarian bliss. Because we are not what they dream humanity could possibly be, we are demonized as the vilest of hypocrites who have brought the world nothing but woe. Indulgences of environmental excess, seasoned with identity politics of race and sexuality, have become normalized. The reality in many classrooms is that America and the West are on trial for what these apparatchiks deem as our ancestral sins of being too white, too Christian, and too successful. This distorted carnival mirror perspective, wherein America is held up as the primary evil in any circumstance, has become mainstream. As a traditional teacher of Western civilization, it is my personal vocation to explain why the West has been unique in producing free societies which encourage individual creativity and free expression. I teach how such liberty has produced the most prosperous societies in recorded history, whose accomplishments range from landing men on the moon from 1969 through 1972 to feeding much of the world through the Green Revolution. Warts and all, I teach both the honor and shame in our shared Western history. No student can learn anything worthwhile from any ideologically sanitized history. Our cultural memory is not theoretical, it is pragmatic. It is not what we should have done. It is what we and our ancestors actually did. Instead of an idealized version, genuine history is incredibly complex, even paradoxical. It is the story of how all people of all convictions contested to shape their present to try to control the future. 11 years ago, I had to move 3,000 miles from southern Maine to northern Idaho because here was the only place where I found a school that valued what I value in education. There are many good teachers and a few good schools out there, but they exist within an educational system that has proven to be more harmful than beneficial to the best interests of our individual students, as well as to the best interests of the American Republic. Any even marginally historically literate person would understand that submission to any international authority strips voters of their natural right to elect their leaders. influence their laws, and ensure that government officials are servants of the popular will rather than masters over a mass of slaves. If American citizens cede power to unelected bureaucrats, they surrender to these technocrats, plutocratic masters. Bond villainesque characters such as George Soros and Klaus Schwab have built systems of patronage that guide policy from Paris to Ottawa to Turtle Bay in New York City. The UNO presided over the greatest financial scandal in all of recorded human history, the Iraq Oil for Food program. It is dominated by representatives of pestiferous third world dictatorships who have done more damage to their civil populations than any 19th century European colonial empire, even the Belgians. Most of these corrupt political Lilliputians are in the pay of the Chinese Communist Party, the CCP, which has killed more human beings than Hitler, Stalin, and Pol Pot combined. The CCP controls the UNO in hopes of displacing the USA as the global hegemon. There's a line for you. The butchers of Beijing strive for nothing less than to make themselves masters of a proverbial middle kingdom that wields control over the entire human population of the earth. The UNO is no fit steward for human aspirations, let alone for global governance. It should be either abolished or defunded and abandoned by the United States and cast back to Geneva, Switzerland, where it belongs. If American citizens do not reclaim their schools from the fanatics who have been permitted to run a critical mass of them for over 60 years, then the default American attitude will become culturally suicidal. Generations who have been taught lies that induce shame will readily end the American experiment in self-government. Nothing less than our ongoing freedom is at stake. Thank you for listening and considering this.